Hello everyone, Arcadenaut here and welcome to one of Capcom's most iconic fighting game franchises. Born in the golden era of arcade fighting games, the Darkstalkers series carved a niche for itself with its unique blend of horror, fantasy, and fast adrenaline-pumping action. And with this retrospective, we will dive deep into series' 5 games in total, exploring each title's contributions to the fighting game landscape. Starting with the groundbreaking Darkstalkers: The Night Warriors. Don't forget to join my Discord channel if you're into retro or fighting games in general, and join me as we unravel the dark tapestry of this cult classic. A series that not only defined an era, but also left an undeniable mark on gaming history. First off, Darkstalkers: The Night Warriors, released in 1994, while most games in genre lean towards realism or traditional martial arts themes, Darkstalkers embraced the gothic and the grotesque. Its concept, deeply rooted in horror and varied regional folklore, it offered refreshing contrast. Each character was a homage to classic monsters from various cultures, giving the game an universal appeal. This bold move not only attracted a diverse audience, but also set a goal for future games to explore for more unconventional themes. The game's art style was a significant leap from the norm. Capcom utilized the CPS2 hardware to its fullest, creating richly animated sprites and backgrounds that oozed personality, similar to the vibes of Marvel vs. Capcom and of course, Street Fighter Alpha. The characters were not just fighters, but also they were works of art, each with their unique animations that reflected their monstrous origins. The game's environments were equally impressive, with each stage telling its own story, from haunted castles, eerie graveyards, and to the streets of London. This attention to detail created an immersive experience, drawing players into Darkstalkers' world. Darkstalkers: The Night Warriors brought an innovation to the genre in terms of gameplay as well. It introduced mechanics that were ahead of its time, such as air blocking and the chain combo system, which allowed for more fluid and dynamic fights. These elements added depth to the gameplay, adding strategy and finesse to the fighting games, open for quick thinking. The game was both accessible to newcomers and challenging for seasoned players as well, striking a delicate balance during 90s. And for each Darkstalkers experience, I handpicked 5 different characters and played their arcade stories, starting with one of the most iconic characters of the franchise, Felicia. Beyond her agility and speed, Felicia's design was a blend of charm and fierceness, a duality that made her an instant favorite. As a Catwoman, Felicia's storyline, aspiring to bridge the gap between humans and Darkstalkers, added a layer of depth to her character, while Felicia trying to become something like a supermodel among the worlds. Jon Talbain, on the other hand, has a more serious tone than Felicia. Talbain's struggle with his lycanthropic nature was a classic tale of conflict, as Talbain tries to cure his curse. His fast-paced, ferocious fighting style was a direct representation of his inner battle, making him a character with both a compelling narrative and gameplay. Jon Talbain has always been one of the fastest and ferocious characters of Darkstalkers series, but of course, he is never close to Morrigan when it comes to popularity. Morrigan Aensland is more than just a fan favorite. She is in fact the face of the series. Her backstory as a succubus from the demon realm added a mystique to her character, as her father Belial used to be the ruler of Makai Kingdom, namely the demon realm. She is in fact the Shoto of Darkstalkers. Her versatile and stylish combat abilities made her formidable even in games like Marvel vs. Capcom as well. And her nemesis, Demitri being cast off from Makai, bears grudge towards Belial and Morrigan. Dimitri's character was a nod to traditional vampire lore, oozing with charisma and power, somewhat reminding me of Akuma from Street Fighter. His gameplay mechanics, like the Midnight Bliss and the Demon Cradle, they were not just visually impressive but also demonstrated his dominance in battle. His goal is to take back the rule of Makai from Morrigan and then rule the human world with an iron fist, making everyone bow to his will. And as the last character, I picked Bishamon, one of the underdogs of Darkstalkers series. Bishamon's tragic story is about him wearing a cursed armor and a sword hungry for blood. He loses himself within this armor and becomes a cursed samurai. His gameplay on the other hand is mainly focused on charge moves and, to be honest, one of the most bland ones I would say. Not quite fan of Bishamon, I'm afraid. And at the end, the series debut, Darkstalkers The Night Warriors, showed that fighting games could be more than just competitions of strength. They could also be gateways into fantastical worlds. With the innovation of Darkstalkers, the series have become a big hit among the arcades in Japan and North America, leading to the game's success that paved the way for subsequent titles in the series, each building on the rich lore and innovative gameplay introduced by this first title. After the groundbreaking success of Darkstalkers The Night Warriors, Capcom didn't rest. They expanded and refined the formula with the 1995 sequel, Night Warriors Darkstalkers Revenge. This installment enriched the existing gothic universe with new characters, new gameplay mechanics, further cementing the series' reputation as a pioneer in the fighting game genre. Night Warriors Darkstalkers Revenge took the solid foundation laid by its predecessor and built upon it significantly. It introduced enhanced specials and extra special moves, adding more depth and strategy to battles. These new abilities allowed for more varied and dynamic combat, enabling players to execute more powerful and visually stunning versions of their standard attacks. Another significant addition was the ability to stack multiple super meters, giving players the option to strategically use them for ES moves or save them for more powerful EX moves. This mechanic not only diversified the gameplay but also added a layer of tactical depth, making matches more unpredictable and exciting. As Capcom continued to push the boundaries of 2D animation with Night Warriors, the character sprites received minor but again detailed tweaks. While the backgrounds were also more dynamic, with richer, more interactive environments that further immersed players in the game's gothic horror world. As for Night Warriors Darkstalkers Revenge, I tried to pick different characters this time, starting with Anakaris, the Mummy King. Hailing from ancient Egypt, Anakaris is one of the most unique zoner characters that you can see. His fighting style featuring long-range attacks with Anakaris extending his arms and legs with a unique mobility. Anakaris' storyline of time travel and kingdom restoration added an intriguing layer to game's narrative and tapestry, but as next, I would like to talk about one of my favorite characters of this franchise. Hsien-ko, or Lei in Japanese versions, is a Chinese Jiangxi ghost, seeking to avenge her mother's death along with her twin sister. Hsien-ko brought a whimsical yet eerie charm to the series with her gap closing and mix-up moves. Her gameplay was characterized by an array of unconventional weapons and her ability to change forms, making her a versatile and unpredictable fighter. And as for the third character, I wanted to replay Morrigan once again, but both her gameplay and her story was quite the same compared to the prequel. The only differences were some minor design upgrades and of course ES and EX moves to her arsenal. And right after Morrigan, as for my next, I wanted to play as my another favorite, Donovan Bane. Now Donovan is a half vampire, half human monk. His introduction brought a new dynamic to the series, as he is one of the most complex characters of the series in terms of different moves and animations he has. His quest for redemption and his struggle with his dual nature were compelling, as he dedicated himself to Buddhism and to banish any evil who would cause harm to human world. Well, in fact, he's basically like Blade of Darkstalkers series. He deserves more praise and attention in my opinion. Last but not least, I wanted to play as Rikuo, one of the original members of the Darkstalkers series. Now, Rikuo can be played as both zoner and rushdown in some cases. His gameplay in fact mimics the fluidity and unpredictability of water, was both challenging and rewarding to master. And his story being the emperor and the hero of merfolk as he tries to rebuild his empire from the devastation that caused by earthquake and volcanic eruptions. Night Warriors Darkstalkers Revenge not only improved upon the original, but also solidified the series as a staple in the fighting game community. The introduction of new characters and the expansion of game's lore enriched the Darkstalkers universe, making it more engaging than before, adding more players to its fanbase. And with its third installment, Darkstalkers series reaches its pinnacle. Vampire Savior: The Lord of Vampire released in 1997. It marked another evolutionary step for Capcom's gothic fantasy fighter. With large varied roster with new characters, refined gameplay, and again expanded lore, it further established the Darkstalkers series as a cornerstone of the fighting game genre. Vampire Savior continued to innovate with its gameplay mechanics, enhancing the fast-paced, combo-heavy action that the series was known for. One of the most notable changes was the introduction of the Dark Force system, a unique ability that gave each character a temporary power-up, adding a new layer of strategy to fights. This system allows players to tailor their playstyle to their character's strengths, making battles even more dynamic and personalized. The game also refined the life bar and timer systems. Instead of the traditional round-based format, Vampire Savior employed a continuous life bar system, where defeated characters could come back to life with a portion of their health, provided the timer hadn't expired. That is further developed in Killer Instinct and series like Injustice or Mortal Kombat. These changes made matches more fluid, reduced downtime between rounds, and keeping the action constant. And as with each iteration, the Darkstalkers series continued to push the limits of 2D animation, and Vampire Savior was no exception. The game featured some of the most detailed and expressive sprites of its time, with fluid animations that brought each character's personality to life. And even more than before, the backgrounds were also more interactive and dynamic, contributing to the game's immersive, dark fantasy atmosphere. Now let's start with one of the coolest designs of Darkstalkers, as in fact the newcomer to the Darkstalkers as its new villain, Jedah. As the new main antagonist of the series, Jedah's introduction brought a fresh and ominous presence. His design, a blend of elegance and horror, along with his unique blood-based attacks, made him a standout character. Jedah's motivation to create a perfect world by merging all souls into one being added a complex and a sinister layer to game's narrative. QB, on the other hand, as a member of the Soul Beast species, QB's addition brought a quirky yet menacing character into the mix, as her fast and relentless cross-up fighting style, mimicking the erratic movements of an insect, provided a unique challenge for players. Her quest for souls to sustain her dying race added a sense of urgency and depth to her character. And of course, with the third installment, we also met with Morrigan's twin sister, Lilith. Well, Lilith is actually created from a part of Morrigan's power, but not her twin sister. Lilith's playful and childlike character contrasted sharply with her fighting abilities and her story, seeking her own identity and merging back with Morrigan. And I think it was a fascinating exploration of self-discovery and existence. And of course, I also played as Morrigan Aensland as well. The return of Morrigan saw further development in her character and story. Her gameplay remained as engaging as ever, with some tweaks and enhancements to her moveset, but her storyline, involving Lilith and Jedah, it added a personal dimension to Morrigan, revealing more about her background and her role as the successor to the Aensland throne. And of course, right after Morrigan, I also played as Hsien-ko again. Hsien-ko continued to be a fan favorite with her unique arsenal and playful fighting style, as her story of avenging her mother and protecting her sister was further developed, adding emotional depth to her character. And last but not least, I would like to mention one of my another favorites, Baby Bonnie Hood. Baby Bonnie Hood is a thrill seeker who enjoys the hunt. She will search out for many creatures to hunt, even to the point of doing it for the sport of the hunt rather than the pursuit for money. She hunts solely for sport and personal gain, while Donovan, on the other hand, hunts to find the meaning in his existence. And I think it is the pinnacle of the series. Vampire Savior, the Lord of Vampire, not only continued the legacy of Darkstalkers series, but also raised the bar for what a fighting game could offer in terms of story, character development, and gameplay innovation. Vampire Savior was lauded for its fast-paced action, deep mechanics, and the introduction of memorable new characters, and right after that, the Darkstalkers series kinda made some questionable and confusing decisions that unfortunately leads to its doom. The Darkstalkers series took an unusual turn with the release of Vampire Hunter 2, Darkstalkers Revenge, and Vampire Savior 2, The Lord of Vampire. Now, these games are basically like Pokemon Red and Blue, but I will try to clear the confusion as much as I can. They are both released in 1997 and served as alternate versions of existing games rather than direct sequels or new titles. They are released only in Japan and for arcades, having minor differences in between each other and in terms of roster and some minor gameplay mechanics. So that means they are basically like Pokemon Red and Blue, Gold or Silver, so it's best to keep that version differences in mind. Like for example, Vampire Hunter 2 is essentially an alternate version of Night Warriors Darkstalkers Revenge, the second game in the series, but with some notable changes. This version has Jon Talbain, Sasquatch and Rikuo, meanwhile the other version has Jedah, BB Hoot, QB and Lilith. Vampire Hunter 2 maintained the gameplay mechanics of Night Warriors, including the style of the health bars and special move systems. Unfortunately, neither of these games have narrative implemented. This time the original villain Pyron appears, but there are no character-specific cutscenes or anything. Both of these versions are aimed for more competitive matches among the arcades. And if you feel curious, these two versions can also be experienced through Capcom Fighting Collection or Darkstalkers Resurrection. And during my experience this time, I played as Morrigan, Felicia and Lord Raptor in Vampire Hunter 2. All of these characters retained their classic movesets and playstyles, with the game's mechanics favoring a more traditional Darkstalkers experience. However, I think I prefer Vampire Savior 2 and play as Lilith once again, and the executions of Lilith's moves felt smoother than before, but nothing else. Although the release of Vampire Hunter 2 and Vampire Savior 2 was a unique approach for arcades, the confusion among its fans also doomed Darkstalkers series, marking the end of this unique dark fantasy fighting game. The Darkstalkers series, with its rich tapestry of gothic fantasy and innovative gameplay, I think stands as a unique gem in Capcom's crown. From Darkstalkers The Night Warriors to the alternate takes of Vampire Hunter 2 and Vampire Savior 2, the series consistently pushed the boundaries of what a fighting game could be. It introduced groundbreaking mechanics that have influenced the genre to this day, such as chain combos and dogfo system. The visual and artistic flair to the series, with its detailed sprites and atmospheric stages, set a norm for 2D fighting games in late 90s. As each character, from Morrigan's alluring charm to Jedah's menacing presence, these aspects not just made them a fighting character but also implemented story onto themselves, making them rich in background and personality. And still, you might see fan arts or even character mods inspired or based on Darkstalkers' memorable characters. Despite its innovation and cult following, the Darkstalkers series remains yet somewhat of an enigma, beloved yet seemingly abandoned. After Vampire Savior 2 and its alternative version, the series didn't see a new installment, only to be revived as a port with the most recent Capcom Fighting Collection that is released in 2022, leaving fans yearning for more. However, the impact of Darkstalkers on fighting game community and its influence on subsequent titles is undeniable. The series' legacy lives on in various forms. Its characters and aesthetics have been celebrated in crossovers, merchandise, and even other Capcom titles. Darkstalkers' distinctive blend of horror and fantasy, combined with its deep, engaging gameplay, continues to resonate with fans new and old. It's a testament to the series' quality and enduring appeal that, even without new releases, the Darkstalkers community remains passionate and vocal about their love for this Capcom classic. And as we look back at the Darkstalkers series, it stands as a shining example of Capcom's creativity and innovation. It may not have ongoing series status of some of its contemporaries, but its place in pantheon of great fighting games is secure. Darkstalkers is more than a collection of games, it is a pivotal chapter in history of genre, a series that dared to be different and, in doing so, won the hearts of players all around the world. And as always, thank you for watching today's video. Which forgotten or abandoned IP would you like to see next? Don't forget to join my Discord channel. Any humble support through Patreon is really appreciated. More will soon to come. Stay tuned.